They said he built bridges that touched the sky, but no one knew the truth buried beneath his greatest design. When the ground cracked open in Lagos that night, the city didn't just lose a bridge, it uncovered a secret that could destroy everything. Before we dive into this shocking, true-to-life story, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because what you're about to hear will make you question how far people can go in the name of success. Lagos, Nigeria's beating heart. A city of dreams and noise, where ambition roars louder than the traffic on dead mainland bridge. Neon lights shimmer on wet roads after evening rain. Danfo buses honk impatiently, and the air is thick with hope and hustle. Among millions rushing for survival, one man's story was about to rise from the dust and shake the city to its core. His name was Engineer Chukwuobi, a 37-year-old civil engineer known for brilliance and precision. To his colleagues, he was a genius. To the world, he was a rising star. But to himself, he was a man hiding something. Every morning, Chuka drove his dark blue Lexus through Lekki Phase 1, always wearing a crisp white shirt, wristwatch gleaming, and a mind already calculating. Lagos was his workshop, his empire, his canvas. But behind the polished smile and confident stride lay a secret, one that began 7 years ago, deep beneath a construction site where no one was supposed to go. That night, Lagos gathered its elite in the grand ballroom of the Echo Convention Center. The stage glittered under golden lights. Engineers, politicians, investors, all were there to celebrate progress. And at the heart of it stood Chuka, winner of the National Innovation Award for his design of the BlueRiver Suspension Bridge, a project that promised to transform Lagos forever. When his name was called, cameras flashed. The applause thundered like rainfall. He smiled, raised his plaque, and said only one thing to the crowd: "Greatness is built from the ground up." The crowd cheered, but as his words echoed through the hall, his eyes drifted for a second towards the back where an old man in a faded agbada was staring at him, not clapping, just watching. Chuka froze. His smile faltered because he recognized that face. It was Elder Bamidele, a retired foreman from the first site Chuka ever worked on, the Marina Underpass project that collapsed mysteriously 7 years ago, killing 2 workers and leaving the city questioning what went wrong. But that case had been closed, or so Chuka thought.
After the ceremony, rain began to fall softly over Victoria Island. Chuka stood outside, clutching his award, when a voice came from behind him. "Engineer Chuka, the ground remembers." He turned sharply. Elder Bamidele was standing under the rain, umbrella trembling slightly. His eyes burned with quiet accusation. "You built bridges over bones," the old man said, his voice heavy. "And now the city will make you answer." Chuka's heart pounded. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "What are you talking about, Baba?" But Bamidele simply shook his head and walked away, disappearing into the rain-soaked night. Chuka stood frozen, the weight of those words sinking into his chest. The ground remembers. He hadn't heard that phrase in years, not since that day at the Marina Underpass collapse. That night,
Chuka couldn't sleep. The city outside was alive, cars honking, thunder rolling. But inside his Lekki apartment, everything was silent. He poured himself a glass of whiskey, stared at his reflection in the window, and whispered, "What if he knows?" Driven by anxiety, he opened his laptop and searched through an encrypted folder, one he hadn't touched in years. Inside were blueprints, emails, and voice notes from the Marina project, and one folder labeled simply Operation Dredge. His hand trembled as he clicked. There it was, a voice recording from his former mentor, Dr. Tunde Arolo, explaining how they'd cut corners to meet deadlines, and how the foundation had been laid over unstable land reclaimed illegally. The truth hit him like thunder. If those files ever reached the authorities, his entire empire would crumble. The city believed he was a hero, but the foundation of his success was cracking, and soon Lagos would feel the tremor.
The next morning, Lagos woke to its usual rhythm. Hawkers calling, buses roaring, radios buzzing with morning gist. But inside Chuka's mind, there was no peace. He hadn't slept. The words, "the ground remembers," replayed over and over. At 8 a.m., he drove to the BlueRiver Bridge construction site in Ikoyi, wearing his safety helmet and dark glasses. Workers greeted him respectfully. "Good morning, engineer." He nodded, forcing a smile. But as he walked past the massive steel pillars and cranes, his gaze caught something odd. A section of the foundation, newly poured, was showing faint cracks. His stomach tightened. Not again. He knelt, touched the concrete, and felt a shiver. The texture wasn't right. Too soft for a structure meant to last decades. He called the site supervisor. "When was this mix poured?" "Yesterday afternoon, sir." "And who approved it?" "Your assistant, Engineer Fumi." Chuka stood silently. Fumi was one of his brightest proteges. But something didn't add up. Chuka walked away from the site, pretending to take a phone call. But in truth, he was calling an old contact, someone he swore never to speak to again. "Tunde," he whispered when the line connected. "We have a problem."
Later that evening, at a quiet restaurant near Victoria Island, Dr. Tunde Arowolo sat opposite Chuka, sipping palm wine like nothing had changed. The older man smiled. "You look like a man haunted by success, Chuka." "You told me Operation Dredge was buried," Chuka hissed. "Then why is someone watching me?" Tunde's smile faded. He leaned forward. "You should have left Lagos after the award. Once people start praising you, they start digging too." Chuka clenched his fists. "The bridge is cracking, the same signs as before." Tunde sighed deeply. "Then the ground remembers indeed." The words froze Chuka's blood. "Wait, how do you know that phrase?" Tunde's gaze darkened. "Because it wasn't just about concrete, my boy. It's about what's under it." Tunde opened the notebook and slid a page across the table. On it was a faded photograph, an underground tunnel under Marina, half collapsed, half buried. "They told us the land was reclaimed safely," Tunde whispered. "But there were bodies beneath it, the graves of colonial workers, unmarked. The soil itself rejected the weight we placed on it. We built over the dead." Chuka's chest tightened.
His voice broke. "You mean the land was cursed?" "Not cursed," Tunde said slowly, "just unhealed." Silence filled the air. Outside, thunder cracked over Lagos Lagoon.
The next day, a breaking news alert flashed across TV screens. Anonymous whistleblower exposes corruption in major Lagos Bridge project. Chuka's heart stopped. The report featured blueprints identical to his design. A young journalist, Adiezi Okonko, appeared on screen, her voice calm but firm. According to confidential documents, the foundation of the BlueRiver Bridge may not meet structural standards. Officials deny the claim, but sources hint at an internal cover-up. The camera showed satellite images, construction photos, evidence that only someone close to Chuka could have leaked. "Fumi," he muttered. He grabbed his phone and dialed a number. No response. He tried again. Still nothing. Finally, a message appeared on his screen. "We need to talk. Meet me by the old marina site tonight, alone." As the rain began again that evening, Chuka drove to Marina, the same place where it all began. His headlights cut through the fog, revealing the rusted gates of the old underpass. He stepped out, heart pounding. A shadow moved near the entrance. It was Fumi. "You leaked the files?" he demanded. She shook her head, tears in her eyes. "No, sir. Someone else found them. Adeze." She said the public deserves to know. "Then why bring me here?" "Because it's happening again." Chuka frowned. "What do you mean?" "Sir, the ground is moving." The same soil that had swallowed the past was stirring once more, and this time it wouldn't stay buried.
The night air was heavy over Marina. The rain had stopped, but the ground still trembled faintly, like the earth itself was remembering pain. Chuka stood beside Fumi under the broken underpass, his flashlight sweeping across the dark tunnel walls. The air smelled of wet cement and old iron. "What do you mean the ground is moving?" he asked. Fumi pointed toward a large fissure on the concrete floor. Water was seeping through, slow but steady. "It started 2 nights ago. The readings from the foundation sensors are unstable. If it spreads to the new bridge..." Chuka didn't wait for her to finish. He rushed deeper into the tunnel, heart pounding. He had promised Lagos a masterpiece, but what if he had built a ticking bomb? The sound of dripping water echoed around them. Then suddenly, a deep rumble rolled to the earth. Dust fell from the ceiling. "Get out!" They ran toward the exit as the ground shook violently. Cracks split the walls like veins of lightning. One pillar collapsed behind them with a deafening crash. They burst into the open, gasping for breath as the tunnel caved in behind them. The secret beneath Lagos was no longer buried. In that moment, the mask of the celebrated engineer fell away. Chuka wasn't a genius. He was a man running from his own shadow.
By dawn, news had broken. Strange tremors were detected around the BlueRiver Bridge. Authorities claimed it was minor, but Chuka knew the truth. He stood at the site as emergency trucks arrived. The water under the bridge churned violently, and a section of the support beams groaned under invisible pressure. Funmi was beside him, holding a tablet showing sensor data flashing red. "Sir, if the pressure increases, the western span will fail." Chuka clenched his jaw. "Evacuate the workers, now." She hesitated. "What about you?" "I started this. I'll finish it." He walked out onto the bridge, the wind whipping against his face. Traffic had been stopped, but the bridge still vibrated with tension. Then, a deep cracking sound. Concrete split. A section of the railing gave way. Chuka dropped to his knees, hands pressed to the trembling surface. "Please, hold." In the distance, he saw Elder Bamidele standing among the crowd, watching, calm, almost mournful. Their eyes met.
The old man raised his hand slowly, pointing at the ground. Then he mouthed the words once more. The ground remembers.
Seconds later, a thunderous crack echoed across Lagos Lagoon. The central span of the BlueRiver Bridge gave way. Steel cables snapped. Concrete slabs plunged into the water. Chuka's body was thrown backward, striking the railing. He clung desperately to a beam as the structure groaned and twisted. Below, the dark water roared, hungry, merciless. Fumi screamed from the shore, "Sir, jump!" But Chuka shook his head. His voice broke through the chaos. "No, I have to close the valve." He crawled along the crumbling edge toward the main control box, the system that could divert the remaining pressure. His hands bled as he pulled the lever. A massive jet of water burst upward, and then silence. The bridge stopped shaking, but Chuka was gone. When rescuers arrived hours later, they found Chuka's body near the shoreline, washed up among debris and broken rebar. His hands were still gripping the wrench. He had saved the city, but lost himself in the process.
Days later, the nation mourned the tragedy. News channels called him the hero engineer. They said he gave his life to protect Lagos. But in a small envelope left on his desk, investigators found a flash drive labeled "My Confession." Inside, his recorded voice spoke softly. "I built bridges to escape my past, but I realize now the truth is the only foundation that lasts." To every young engineer, to every dreamer, if you build with lies, the ground will remember, and someday it will make you answer. Fumi attended his funeral quietly, standing beside Elder Bamidele and Dr. Tunde. No one spoke, but as the coffin was lowered, the old man whispered, "He has made peace with the ground." The camera panned upward, from the graveyard to the Lagos skyline. The rebuilt bridge stood tall in the distance, stronger and purer.
Every city is built on stories, some of triumph, some of pain. But the greatest foundation of all is truth. Let this story remind you, what you bury will one day rise again. Choose honesty, build with integrity, and your legacy will stand when others fall. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and share so others can learn from it. Subscribe now to our channel, African Folktale Epic, for more African stories that stir the heart and awaken the soul.